Hello everyone, welcome back to our farm. Today's video pertains to a problem that affects most beekeepers, the dreaded small hive beetle. If you are a subscriber to this channel, you know that on our farm we are always trying to reduce our TEM. That is the time, effort, and money required of our activities. And small hive beetle control definitely falls under this heading. I won't waste time discussing small hive beetles because if you're watching this video, you're probably well aware of the problems they cause. So let's jump right to a solution that we had been working on. I say had been working on because we no longer have the time to work on it. However, we hope that you find our initial work and strategy useful. To understand why disrupting the life cycle of the beetle is important, let's first have a look at it. A single adult enters a hive and lays eggs. The eggs hatch and the larvae grow within the hive. When grown, the larvae exit the hive, burrow into the ground, and start changing into a beetle. Once they become an adult beetle, they dig out of the dirt and enter a hive to start things over again. So we see that as time goes by, there should be a cyclic buildup in the number of beetles in your apiary, with increasingly more beetles resulting in even more beetles until at some point your apiary is simply overwhelmed by them. So you can see what's wrong with so many trap designs. Aside from the time and effort of having to frequently open the hive to check, clean, replace them, nearly all traps only catch a percentage of the beetles. Thus, some are left to complete their life cycle, reproduce, and thus doom you to a never-ending battle. Given this, the ideal trap is obviously one that does not require you to enter the hive, costs little to install, and little in time, effort, and money to maintain, and breaks the life cycle by being 100% effective. So let's now take a look at what we had been working on before dropping the project. We'll first look at a solution for a single hive and then present a strategy for an apiary. For a single hive, we cut a hole in the bottom of the hive and glued in a cap from a plastic cup that we cut the center out of. We painted the cup black and screwed it in the bottom. We then affixed a slanted ramp across the entrance. We used strips of adhesive aluminum tape to create a barrier around the bottom. We did this because experiments with lab-grown larvae showed that when large numbers of larvae were present, they would build zombie ladders in the corners near the entrance and escape. So, although we put the barrier all around the bottom, it's probably only needed near the corners next to the entrance. Lastly, we use thin aluminum tape because otherwise the bees would eat through the barrier. This design works surprisingly well, and it only took a few seconds to unscrew and empty the cup without disturbing the hive. However, it's not so great if you have lots of hives. Modifying and servicing many hives requires too much time and effort, and thus an apiary level solution would be preferred. Unfortunately, due to time constraints and for some reason never having a beetle problem, at this point we decided to drop the project. However, we do have some suggestions on what to do if you want to break the cycle on an entire apiary. So here we go. The most obvious approach is to build the apiary on a large plastic sheet. This accomplishes two things. Number one, it controls weeds, very TEM friendly, and we in fact do this with all our hives for this reason. Number two, it keeps larvae from burrowing deep into the ground, resulting in their death during the heat of the day. Now, this of course requires that you keep the larvae from simply crawling off the plastic. In this regard, there are two reasonable approaches. The first is simply to build a barrier like we did with the hive bottoms. For example, the edge of the plastic could be turned up an inch or so. However, both wind and rain will need to be addressed. The second is to add about an inch or something like that of sand, compost, etc. that does not harden and that the larvae can always dig into. With this approach, the larvae will likely burrow into it instead of wandering off. However, due to its shallow nature, the larvae will overheat and dry out during the day. The material will also protect the plastic from the sun and physical wear, and wind and rain will not be a problem. This second method seems to be the most robust. However, before committing to an entire apiary, I would test it out on a small area, say 3 by 3 feet, to confirm that the larvae dig in and don't crawl off, and then that they die during the following day. Well, in brief, that's our work and ideas on the subject. If you're one of those unlucky people plagued by small hive beetles and want to try any of this out and have some questions, just let us know in the comment section and we'll do our best to get back to you. Well folks, if you found this video useful, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification button so that you're alerted when new videos become available. Lastly, as a new channel, it is somewhat of a miracle that you found this video. Thus, we would be very grateful if you would also click the like button so that YouTube's algorithm will allow others to see it also. That's it for now. See you soon.